Alright, y'all. In this video, I just wanted to talk about the Steam Machine since the prices just dropped, and I think this thing's kind of cooked. I don't know what this would be for. Like, so the starting price for this Steam Machine is $1,049, and that's without the controller, by the way. Doesn't even come with a controller. It's got 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 512 just normal gigabytes for memory, and a couple of other things. If you want the 512 gigabyte version with a controller, which by the way 512 gigabytes is nothing nowadays, it's gonna go up to $1,128. You want it with 2 terabytes, which is a nice jump. It goes to $1,350. Problem is, now we're back to not having a controller. So you're paying $1,350 for a console with no controller. Kind of crazy. So what happens if we want a controller with a 2 terabyte version? Now it's $1,428. That's a lot of money. And one thing I do want to point out is that I understand that it's expensive because of, AI and making RAM so expensive because of that. So I'm not necessarily really mad at Steam. Like, oh, Steam, they're so greedy. Or Valve. Valve is so greedy. Valve, what are you doing? This and that. Like, I understand. Valve most likely did not want to make it this expensive, but like, in order to make a profit, they kind of had to, because RAM is so expensive now. But that doesn't, I'm just pointing out the way it is. Whether, it's Valve's fault, AI's fault, whoever the fuck's fault it is, it's expensive, and it's too expensive for console people. And I just don't know what this is for. It's definitely not for anyone who already has like a normal PC and has been having a PC or anything like that, because, well, most people's computers should be better than this. This is not a very strong piece of hardware. It only has 8 gigs of VRAM and 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM. I understand RAM is more expensive nowadays, but even then, this is it's for that price, it's not that good. And I got lucky. I got my PC right before the RAM increases in price started happening, and my PC was $1,200, $1,200, and it is way better than this. So why would I want to buy something that's pretty similar in price to what the PC I bought, but it's significantly worse though? So it's obviously not for people with PCs. This is obviously supposed to be to help people on console transfer over to Steam. That's the main objective of this thing. But the problem is that I think it completely fails at that. It's too the base price, the cheapest you can go is $1,500, and you're probably gonna have to use your console's controller in order to use the damn thing, because it doesn't, or get some sort of keyboard or mouse around the house, because it doesn't come with a controller. And $1,500 is a lot of money. And I understand console prices have been increasing, but still the entry level consoles for PlayStation and Xbox, and especially Nintendo, are nowhere near this fucking amount. A Switch 2 is $500. How much? Let me search up how much is a PS5 right now. So from the looks of it, a PS5 digital edition is around $634, $635. That is significantly cheaper. Again, that's the cheapest PS5, with no disc drive or anything like that. That does suck, but it is still that is way cheaper than $1,050. And you could be like, oh, but there's a lot of good things about Steam. And trust me, I know there's a lot of good things about Steam. You have the free online, the free cloud saves. People forget about that. Cloud saves are behind a paywall on at least most consoles. I'm not sure about Xbox, but on Switch and PlayStation, they're locked behind a paywall. A great refund system. For example, nobody crucify me for this, but what happens if GTA 6 sucks balls? If GTA 6 sucks and it's $100, like people are rumoring, even though I don't think it'll be 100, but let's say it is 100, On PlayStation, you just spent $100 on a game that you can't refund anymore. I know it's not coming day one to PC, but let's say, you know, similar situation. You would be able to refund that $100 game easily. As long as you don't have more than 2 hours and it's within the 2-week time span of you buying it, it's a guaranteed refund. And even then, you could probably get a refund if it's for a valid reason, if you bought it further than 2 weeks ago. So yeah, amazing refund system, larger library of games, you know, something like Metal Gear Rising or like Sonic Adventure 2, those games don't really have modern ports. You know, besides Xbox backwards compatibility, it's not really easy to play those games on PlayStation and Switch. So that's another, you know, big plus. Emulation is a huge plus off of it. If you're really into competitive games, being able to play on a keyboard or mouse without having to make it be considered cheating, that's super nice. You know, there's a lot of really good things about PC, and these are things that could maybe, you know, make up for the fact that it is more expensive than a PlayStation. But then that's like the expensive price is the first punch. It's a two-hitter, because then you realize, you know, it's 2026. Most people have built up their digital library of games at this point. So if you buy a Steam machine and you're a console player, you most likely already have all your games on a previous system. And that's where it's like, okay, nah. You can't like ignore the fact that this is $1,050 with no controller, because even though there's things that are gonna save you so much money on Steam, you know, avoiding paying subscriptions and stuff, it's just, you're gonna have to rebuy every single game you've had on your PlayStation or Xbox or Switch. Every game, unless you have a homie hookup who's gonna give you a Steam family, you know, thing. And if it's an actual good Steam family, not a Steam family with fucking 4 games, like an actual good Steam family that you can join, you're cooked, bro. You have to rebuy every single one of those games. The Steam machine had to at least be the same price as a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. It had to at least be the same price as those. The fact that it's more expensive and you're gonna have to pay for all your games again, nobody's want to do that. And that's where we come to the situation where it's like, what is this box for? What is the point of this thing? What is the point of this thing? Because nobody on PC who already has a PC is going to want to buy it. You could probably buy for at least maybe a little bit more expensive, but you could probably buy just a normal brand new PC with better specs than this. And then another thing that, by the way, to consider is the fact that this runs on Steam OS, which pretty much it runs on Linux. And because of that, a lot of console players are going to have a lot of issues coming to this, because let's say you play Rainbow Six Siege. You like to play Rainbow Six Siege a lot. You buy the Steam machine, Rainbow Six Siege is not going to work on it. Even though the Steam machine can run Rainbow Six Siege perfectly fine, it's not going to run it because of Steam OS, because it's Linux, and the anti-cheat for Rainbow Six Siege it's not compatible with it. You know, you go on the Steam page right now and you go to Rainbow Six Siege, it's not Steam Deck compatible. That's already it's because of the operating system. So you're gonna have to either buy Windows, you're gonna have to buy Windows for the Steam machine, buy a copy of Windows and put it on your Steam machine, or you're just gonna have to transfer it from another computer if you have one. But either way, it's a big pain in the ass, and making people transfer operating systems onto a new, you know, Steam machine console is, for a console player, you're doing way too much. You're asking way too much for them to want to have to put Windows onto their Steam machine. It's probably gonna be too complicated for them. There's console players out there that complain about downloading Steam. You think they're gonna transfer Windows onto their Steam machine? That's gonna be a fucking nightmare for them after they already spent $1,050 for a console with no fucking controller, and they gotta rebuy all their games again. So it's not for console players either. But yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna sell. I don't know who this is for. You know, maybe if you got a lot of extra money laying around and you really want a PC in your living room for that easy couch gaming experience, I guess. But there's not enough of those people to to, I think, make Steam make a profit off of this shit. I'm not too sure. Like, that's a pretty niche bit. That's people who play on PC and really want a couch experience and are willing to spend this amount of money just for a little novelty in the living room instead of just playing on their normal desktop. Yeah, that's about all I gotta say for this video. Just a little quick yap session on how I think the Steam machine is cooked. That's about it. Peace out.